India's diversity begins with its geography. In this video, I will be discussing in detail the first part of the Indian Constitution, Part 1, Schedule 1, that explains the Union and its territory. But before we begin, it is important to understand the foundation of this beautiful land we call home. India, that is Bharat. The Indian subcontinent that now includes independent nations of India, Pakistan since 1947 and Bangladesh since 1971, was once a self-contained geographical entity bounded by high mountains in the north and great seas to the east, west, and south. The ancient Persians used to call it Hindustan, meaning land of the Hindus, a name that originates from the Persian word Hindu, which itself is derived from the Sanskrit term Sindhu, which is the name for the Indus River. Over time, this name came to denote the region beyond the Indus, encompassing the northern Indian subcontinent. Within the subcontinent, in a vast triangle narrowing down from the everlasting snows in the north to the perennial sultry heat of Cape Cameroon, which is Kanyakumari in the south, there are, as there has always been, many separate geographical regions in the country. In the far north, northeast, and northwest are the mountain ranges of the Great Himalayas, where stand the world's highest peaks and largest freshwater resource on the planet, revered as holy by most of the inhabitants of Hindustan. Immediately below the Himalayas, a vast alluvial plain stretches in an unbroken surface for some 2,720 kilometers across northern India and was formed by the three great rivers of the north, the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. Scorchingly hot in the summer and bitterly cold in winter. The Indo-Gangetic Plain is one of the most densely populated regions in the world. In the far west lie the desolate, salty marshlands of the Great Run of Kutch, home to the world's dwindling population of the onagar, and the breeding ground for that gregarious bird, the flamingo. Nearer but still in the west are 38,610 square miles or 100,000 square kilometers of dune-covered deserts of what now is Rajasthan. On the far side in the east, at the mouth of the Ganga, are the Sundarbans, the world's largest single-block tidal mangrove forest, and home to the Bengal tiger. A range of hills in central India, the Central Highlands, separate the southern two-thirds of the subcontinent, whose main geographical feature is a massive tableland, the Deccan Plateau, that protrudes down into the Indian Ocean. Hugging its western side along the Arabian Sea are located some of the world's most ancient mountain ranges, known as the Western Ghats, whilst running parallel to the Bay of Bengal along the eastern coast are the Eastern Ghats. The Deccan Plateau occupies a major portion of the southern part of the country. It consists of a gigantic triangular block, 100 meters high in the north and almost a kilometer tall in the south, containing much of India's mineral wealth. Up until the 19th century, the Indian subcontinent could be approached and was accessible either only by seafaring vessels or by land through narrow passes in the northwest, a cul-de-sac to successive migratory waves of invaders, who intermingled with the indigenous inhabitants to such an extent that radically distinct categories of people became hard to identify. Language and religion, rather than ethnic origin, became the primary distinguishing features of the people of Hindustan. In this great landmass of nearly 17 lakh square miles, approximately 44 lakh square kilometers of undivided India, there dwelt in the mid of the 20th century over 29 crore inhabitants, distributed throughout the provinces of British India, which was then more than 1/5 of humanity. The figure did not include persons living in the 565 princely states in India. These states covered 40% of India's land area and were home to 23% of its population. They were scattered in bits and pieces throughout an aggregate area of about 2/5 of the Indian subcontinent. Their rulers or chieftains had entered into treaties or arrangements with the British, and with the passage of the Government of India Act 1858 by the British Parliament, each of these princely states came under direct protection and suzerainty of the British Crown, enjoying internal autonomy but with the British government exercising exclusive control of their external affairs. The geographical location of the princely states did not correspond to any ethnic, religious, or linguistic pattern, but the people residing in the provinces in British India and the people living in the princely state had close ties of cultural affinity as well as of blood and sentiment, each group having suffered alike over time from successive waves of foreign invaders and of foreign domination. What distinguished the princely states from the provinces in pre-partition India was that they were not annexed as a part of British India. None of them had any independent international status because the Government of India's official Gazette notification of 1891 had pontifically declared that the principles of international law have no bearing upon the relations between the Government of India as representing the Queen Empress on the one hand and the native states on the other. The paramount supremacy of the former presupposes and implies the subordination of the latter. Pledging loyalty to the British Crown, the chieftain or the ruler of each Indian state was its monarch, and all local laws emanated from his edicts. And in turn, the British government granted the chieftain or the ruler safety from external attack and internal revolt. The Indian Constitution is celebrated not only for its robust protection of individual rights, but also for its innovative design in structuring the nation. Article 1 of the Indian Constitution is foundational. It states, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. This brief yet potent declaration establishes key principles such as indivisibility, central supremacy, and unity in diversity. Article 1 of the Indian Constitution reveals not only a simple statement of territorial integrity but also embodies several profound principles that have shaped India's federal structure. So let's take a deeper look at each of these key principles. Indivisibility. The declaration, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states, underscores the notion that India is a single, undivided entity. The Republic of India is described as a union and not a federation. The constitution makers were deliberate in choosing the word union rather than the word federation. Unlike federations, formed by a compact of independent and sovereign states, where withdrawal or secession might be an option, the Indian Union was not created by an agreement among pre-existing independent states. Instead, the Constitution establishes a union in which states derive their existence from the very same document that binds them together. This design ensures that no state has a constitutional right to secede and that national integrity is maintained at all costs. The framers of the Constitution, including key figures like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, intended this language to forestall any future claims of separateness or disintegration, emphasizing that the unity of the nation is paramount. The chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, during the Constituent Assembly debate, said,
"But what is important is that the use of the word union is deliberate. The drafting committee has intentionally used it to make it clear that, though India was to be a federation, this federation was not the result of an agreement by the states to join. Since the federation was not formed through an agreement, no state has the right to secede from it. The federation is a union because it is indestructible. While the country and its people may be administratively divided into different states, India remains one integral whole, with its people forming a single entity under a single imperium, derived from a single source. The Americans had to wage a civil war to establish that their states had no right of secession and that their federation was indestructible. The drafting committee, however, believed it was wiser to clarify this at the outset rather than leave it to speculation or dispute.
Although India's federal system grants considerable autonomy to states, the phrase Union of States also implies that state powers are subordinate to the authority of the central government. The Constitution divides legislative subjects among the Union, the state, and the concurrent lists. However, in cases of conflict, central legislation takes precedence. This central supremacy is evident in several constitutional provisions. The power of the Union to alter state boundaries, merge states, or even dissolve state governments under exceptional circumstances demonstrates that the central authority holds the ultimate reins over governance. During national emergencies or when the constitutional machinery of a state fails, the central government is empowered to assume greater control, ensuring uniformity and stability across the country. Moreover, key appointments such as selection of governors and fiscal policies are also controlled by the center, reinforcing a system sometimes characterized as quasi-federal or federal in form and unitary in spirit. These measures, while designed to preserve the unity and security of the nation, have also sparked debates on the balance of power between the center and the states. Next, we have unity in diversity. India is renowned for its rich tapestry of cultures, languages, religions, and traditions. The use of the term union in Article 1 goes beyond legal or administrative terminology. It serves as a profound affirmation of the country's commitment to unity amidst the diversity. Key aspects include cultural and linguistic pluralism. That is, each state in India has its own unique cultural identity and linguistic heritage. The constitutional framework, however, weaves these distinct identities into a single national fabric by ensuring that every state contributes to and is a part of a larger unified polity. Number 2 is political integration. By providing mechanisms such as the representation of states in the Rajya Sabha, the Constitution ensures that regional voices are heard at the national level. This arrangement helps balance regional interests with the broader national agenda. Social harmony. The emphasis on the unity and diversity fosters an environment where pluralism is celebrated. National policies and legal provisions are crafted to respect regional differences while upholding common values, ensuring that diversity does not become a source of division, but rather a source of strength that enshrines the entire nation. This principle has been central to India's success in managing aspirations are accommodated within a cohesive national framework. Together, these elements illustrate how Article 1 is not merely a statement about territorial boundaries. It encapsulates the vision of an integrated, strong, and diverse nation, where the central authority preserves the unity while recognizing and respecting the distinct identities of its constituent parts. Now we come to Article 2, which is admission or establishment of new states. Article 2 of the Indian Constitution empowers Parliament to admit or establish new states within the Union. This power allows India to expand its territory when new regions become available. For instance, when Sikkim, a formerly independent kingdom, was integrated into India in 1975, it was done under the authority granted by Article 2. This process is not just about redrawing borders. It ensures that as India grows, its constitutional framework remains flexible and adaptable to change, just as the varied landscapes of our country, from the fertile plains to the rugged hills, shape diverse ways of life. Article 2 enables the Union to evolve by incorporating regions with distinct identities into the national fold. Article 2 is designed as a flexible tool, granting Parliament the power to determine the specific terms and conditions for admitting new states. This means that when a new state is considered for admission, Parliament can tailor the governance arrangements to suit that region's unique political, cultural, and economic circumstances. For example, different regions might require distinct fiscal arrangements or administrative structures. This tailored approach ensures that while the new state becomes a full part of the Union, its local character and needs are also respected. In effect, Article 2 allows India to maintain a balance between uniform national governance and the diverse local requirements of its many regions. The origins of Article 2 lie in the historical challenges that India faced at independence. At that time, the Indian subcontinent was a patchwork of British provinces and over 500 princely states, each with its own distinct identity. Visionaries such as Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and members of the Constituent Assembly recognized that uniting these diverse regions required a flexible and forward-looking constitutional design. They envisioned a union of states, a model that would allow for the future growth and change while ensuring the unity of the nation remained intact. Article 2 was therefore crafted not only to integrate territories that were not originally part of British India, but also to provide a mechanism for the nation's gradual expansion and reorganization over time, if required. So Article 2 remains a vital instrument for managing India's evolving territorial structure while maintaining national unity. The process for admitting a new state under Article 2 is deliberately designed to be efficient and adaptable. When there is a proposal to admit a new state, Parliament introduces a legislative proposal that outlines the terms and conditions of admission. This proposal is then debated in Parliament, and if it receives a simple majority vote, it is passed. Following parliamentary approval, the bill is sent to the President for assent, which officially brings the new state into the Union. This streamlined process, requiring only a simple majority rather than a full constitutional amendment, reflects the framers' intention to allow the nation to grow and adapt quickly, ensuring that the constitutional framework remains both robust and also responsive. Now let's come to Article 3, formation of new states and alteration of areas, boundaries, or names of existing states. Perhaps the most transformative in terms of territorial dynamics is Article 3. This article authorizes Parliament to make significant changes to the organization of states within the Union, reflecting the ever-changing political, social, and economic landscape of the country. Understanding Article 3 is crucial because it illustrates how the Indian federal structure is designed to be both flexible and responsive, while maintaining national unity. Let's explore its key features in detail. Article 3 empowers the Parliament to create a new state by separating a part of an existing state. This power has been used in practice, for example, the formation of Telangana in 2014, where a region was separated from Andhra Pradesh to form a new state with its own distinct identity and administrative framework. This ability to create new states allows the Union to adapt to regional demands and better manage local governance. In addition to creating new states, Article 3 grants Parliament the authority to merge two states or more states or parts of states. It also allows for the alteration of state boundaries and even changes in state names. This provision has been pivotal in reorganizing states to better reflect linguistic, cultural, and administrative realities. For instance, the reorganization of states along linguistic lines in the 1950s was a direct application of this power, ensuring that state boundaries corresponded more closely with the people's identities and needs. A bill introduced under Article 3 must be referred to the legislature of the affected states for their views. This step is designed to ensure that local perspectives are considered before any changes are made. However, it is important to note that Parliament is not legally bound by these opinions. The final decision rests with the central government, which maintains that the overall national interest and unity must prevail over regional preferences. This balance between giving states a voice and retaining central decisiveness is one of the differentiating marks of India's federal structure. The Supreme Court has consistently held that Article 3 grants Parliament broad powers to reorganize states without requiring a formal constitutional amendment. The rationale behind this flexibility was explained in Babulal Parathe versus State of Bombay, 1960. Article 3 was designed to enable the Union to adapt to changing circumstances without the rigid procedures required for constitutional amendment. The requirement of consultation with the states does not imply their consent is necessary, as the ultimate authority lies with the Parliament. This provision allows Indian territorial framework to evolve dynamically in response to political, administrative, and demographic changes. Over time, courts have clarified and reinforced the scope and limitations of Article 3. In State of Bombay versus Narottam Das, Jethabai 1951, the Supreme Court ruled, the Constitution does not recognize states as sovereign entities. Rather, their existence and boundaries are subject to parliamentary authority, ensuring the unity of the nation. Similarly, in the Ray Barubari Union case, 1960, the court distinguished between internal reorganization and territorial cession. While Article 3 empowers Parliament to alter state boundaries, the cession of Indian territory to a foreign nation requires an amendment under Article 368. This interpretation highlights the deliberate balance between flexibility and legal constraints, ensuring that state reorganization serves national interests without bypassing fundamental constitutional safeguards. The practical implications of Article 3 has led to significant state reorganizations and governance adjustments. In Ram Kishore Sen versus Union of India 1966, the Supreme Court underscored the role of parliamentary supremacy in the state restructuring. The power to merge, alter, or create states is a necessary tool for administrative efficiency, regional stability, and democratic representation, ensuring that governance structures remain responsive to evolving needs. Further, the case of Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India 2006 affirmed that reorganization must respect democratic principles. Parliament must exercise its power under Article 3 with due regard to the federal structure, ensuring that changes reflect the will of the people while maintaining the unity and integrity of the nation. Thus, Article 3 not only provides the legal foundation for territorial adjustments, but also serves as a mechanism for political integration and national stability. Article 3 thereby equips the Union with the legal mechanism to adapt its internal boundaries and administrative divisions to changing conditions, be they linguistic, cultural, or administrative. This article is therefore fundamental to understanding the adaptive nature of Indian constitutional system. There have been many legislation passed under Article 3 of the Constitution, which are as follows. Assam Alteration of Boundaries Act 1951 transferred a small territory from Assam to the newly formed state of West Bengal. State Reorganization Act 1956, a landmark legislation that restructured state boundaries based on linguistic lines. Andhra Pradesh, formed by merging Andhra state with Telugu-speaking regions of Hyderabad state. Bombay state, expanded by incorporating Saurashtra and Kutch states, Marathi-speaking areas from Madhya Pradesh and Hyderabad, while southern districts were transferred to Mysore state. Kerala, created by merging Travancore, Cochin with the Malabar district and Kasaragod Taluk from Madras state. Madhya Pradesh, formed by merging Madhya Bharat, Vindhya Pradesh, and Bhopal state. Marathi-speaking districts were transferred to Bombay state. Mysore state, enlarged by adding Coorg state and Kannada-speaking regions from Madras, Bombay, and Hyderabad states. Punjab, merged with Patiala and East Punjab State Union. Rajasthan, expanded by incorporating Ajmer state, Abu Road Taluka from Bombay, Sunel Tappa from Madhya Bharat. Bihar and West Bengal Transfer of Territories Act 1956 transferred certain territories between Bihar and West Bengal to address administrative and linguistic considerations. Bombay Reorganization Act 1960 bifurcated the bilingual Bombay state into two states, Gujarat, comprised of Gujarati-speaking regions, and Maharashtra, comprised of Marathi-speaking regions. State of Nagaland Act 1962 established Nagaland as a separate state carved out from Assam. Punjab Reorganization Act 1966 reorganized the state of Punjab, resulting in Haryana, formed as a new state for Hindi-speaking populations. Punjab retained as a state for Punjabi-speaking populations. Chandigarh designated as a union territory and shared capital of both Punjab and Haryana. Transfer of territories. Certain northern districts were transferred to Himachal Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh and Madras Alteration of Boundaries Act 1959 redefined boundaries between Andhra Pradesh and Madras, now Tamil Nadu, for administrative convenience. Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh Transfer of Territories Act 1959 facilitated the exchange of certain territories between Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh for better governance. Acquired Territories Merger Act 1960 provided for the merger of certain acquired territories into the respective states to which they geographically belonged. Mysore State Alteration of Name Act 1973 renamed the state of Mysore to Karnataka to reflect the region's historical and cultural identity. Laccadive, Minicoy, and Amindivi Islands Alteration of Name Act 1973 renamed to Union Territory of Lakshadweep for linguistic and cultural reasons. Northeastern Areas Reorganization Act 1971 reorganized the northeastern region, resulting in Manipur transitioned from a union territory to a full-fledged state, Tripura transitioned from union territory to a full-fledged state, Meghalaya carved out from Assam as a new state, Mizoram established as the union territory, later became a state in 1987. Arunachal Pradesh established as a union territory, later became a state in 1987. Sikkim State Reorganization Act 1975 integrated Sikkim into India as the 22nd state following a referendum. Goa Daman-Diu Reorganization Act 1987 conferred the statehood upon Goa while Daman-Diu remained a union territory. Madhya Pradesh Reorganization Act 2000 led to the creation of Chhattisgarh from the eastern districts of Madhya Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh Reorganization Act 2000 established Uttarakhand, initially named Uttaranchal, by separating northern regions from Uttar Pradesh. Bihar Reorganization Act 2000 formed the state of Jharkhand from the southern districts of Bihar. Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014 bifurcated Andhra Pradesh to create the new state of Telangana, addressing the long-standing regional demands. The Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019 reorganized the former state of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir with a legislative assembly and Ladakh without a legislative assembly. The 18th Amendment Act 1966 added the two explanations to the Article 3, incorporating the decision of the Supreme Court in Ram Kishore Sen versus Union of India. Now let's come to Article 4 of the Constitution. It provides a significant practical benefit for our constitutional framework. It explicitly states that any law made under Article 2 and 3 is not to be treated as a constitutional amendment. In other words, when Parliament enacts laws for admission, establishment, or reorganization of states, these laws do not need to follow the rigorous and time-consuming process that is required for amending the Constitution itself. This means that such laws require only a simple majority vote in Parliament, unlike other parts of the Constitution, which may demand a supermajority or additional ratification by the states. The streamlined process under Article 4 allows for changes to be implemented quickly and efficiently. This design was intentional. The framers wanted to ensure that India's territorial organization could adapt to new realities without any unnecessary delays. What this means in practice is, because the process is simplified, Parliament can respond to emerging administrative and demographic needs rapidly. For example, if a new region seeks greater representation or if regional boundaries no longer reflect the linguistic or cultural realities on the ground, the government can reconfigure state boundaries without the burden of a full constitutional amendment. This efficiency is crucial in a diverse nation like India, where conditions change over time and flexibility is needed to ensure effective governance. Moreover, this provision exemplifies the foresight of our founding fathers. They understood that a dynamic nation requires a constitutional framework that is both robust and adaptable. Article 4, by enabling changes through a simple majority, ensures that the union can evolve while still upholding the core principles of national unity and constitutional stability. Article 4 not only removes the need for a cumbersome amendment process when reorganizing states, but also provides a mechanism for timely and practical adaptation to changing circumstances. Constitutional provisions governing India's territory have also sparked vibrant debates about the balance between central authority and regional autonomy. Proponents of strong centralization argue that the uniformity in governance is essential for national integration and administrative efficiency. In contrast, the advocates for greater regional autonomy stress the importance of local identity and democratic participation in decisions that affect community boundaries and governance. As India continues to evolve, the mechanisms provided by Article 2, 3, and 4 ensure that the country can adapt to emerging challenges, whether they involve demographic changes, economic demands, or cultural shifts. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you got to learn something new. Please subscribe to my channel and help me boost your legal IQ.